be utilizing ASL interpreters. Our ASL interpreters today will be Craig Ridgway and Beth, and we will send the information on how to pin videos in the chat. Thank you so much.
Good evening, and thank you, Yahira. Welcome everyone to the Civilian Complaint Review Board's June board meeting. My name is Fred Davey, and I am chair of the board. I'm going to ask my fellow board members to introduce themselves, but first I want to introduce our newest board member who is going to join us shortly. As I understand it, he may be having
Is Fred still connected?
later ask my, or is he on? Is Dr. Caroline on? All right, not hearing from him. I'm going to ask my fellow board members if they would introduce themselves. Can you all hear me? All right.
Now we can.
Okay, did you, how much did you lose me for a while?
Yes. You were introducing
Where did
Dr.
I say?
Carolina.
All right, so, all right, I'm sorry about that. It is the difficulty of trying to communicate across the internet. So, so Dr. Carolina is joining us as a mayoral designee, and I believe we were first introduced to Dr. Carolina at our Staten Island board meeting 2 years ago. We'd like to have him speak to us, but I don't think he's on yet. Is that correct? That is correct. So is that correct?
We're upgrading him shortly, so you can proceed with the other board members.
Okay, so I'll ask my fellow board members to introduce themselves, and I will start with Ms. Bond.
Good afternoon, all. My name is Erica Bond, and I'm a mayoral designee, born and raised in Brooklyn.
Mr. Dwyer.
Good afternoon. I'm Frank Dwyer. I'm a police commissioner designee. I was also born and raised in Brooklyn.
Mr. Siegel. Mr. Siegel, I think you're on mute.
John.
Good afternoon, John Siegel. I'm appointed by Mayor de Blasio. Not born and raised in Brooklyn. I reside in the Bronx and practice law in Manhattan.
Great. Mr. Joseph.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm a city council designee, and I live in Staten Island.
Mr. Rivadeneira.
Good afternoon, everyone. Michael Rivadeneira. I am a city council designee, and I reside in the Bronx.
Mr. Puma.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Joseph Puma. I'm a city council designee to the board from the borough of Manhattan, where I was born and raised and still live.
Great. And is Mr. Kakatera on the phone?
No.
I don't think Mr. Carcater is joining us today.
Okay, and I think our newest board member, Dr. Carolina, is on the phone. Dr. Carolina, would you like to introduce yourself to us?
Hello, if everyone can hear me.
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
Wonderful. Demetrius Carolina, a mayoral appointee, and I am in Staten Island.
Excellent, and welcome. We're really pleased that you've joined us, and we hope to be in person in the fall, but we'll look forward to continuing to be in touch and have conversations well before we are gathered again in person. But welcome to the Civilian Complaint Review Board.
And thank you so much. Pleasure to be with.
Before I get into my remarks, we have just, as always, a housekeeping detail to attend to, and that is to approve the minutes of the last meeting. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Are there any corrections or additions, revisions? All those in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Raise your hand.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. All right, the minutes are approved. Do we have Mr. Freeman here?
I'm
Mr.
here.
Freeman, would you like to introduce yourself?
Willie Freeman. I'm a police commissioner designee. I reside in Brooklyn.
Great, welcome. All right, so I'm excited for the most part that New York City will be able to get somewhat closer to normal this month, Pride Month, following a tumultuous year and a half we've had with COVID-19, the pandemic, and the protests that we had last summer. This being Pride Month, the city's LGBTQ plus community has had to overcome tremendous adversity over the decades and is still confronting challenges that face the Black, brown, and transgender people within our community. This year, and really the past 5 years, have made it clear that this adversity is still very real and very present. That's why I find this year's Pride theme, "The Fight Continues," extraordinarily fitting. To me, in addition to the work we have to do to make New York City a better and more accepting place for the LGBT community, the fight continues as a call to keep pushing for common sense reforms to the way this city and our country addresses police accountability. We can all agree on some fundamental principles, I believe. Independent oversight of police is essential to earning community trust. Police officers who commit misconduct should be held accountable. And policing in the U.S. today and across decades is racialized, and this racialized policing should be confronted and rooted out. The administration has taken some really positive steps to address these principles by introducing his David Deakins plan. Mayor de Blasio has made a commitment to strengthening this agency because he recognizes the importance or the important role of a strong CCRB and the role it can play in improving community relations. By advancing the NYPD's disciplinary matrix and urging the police department to commit to abiding by it through a signed MOU that Commissioner Shea and I signed, the city has done everything, has done a lot to a manner the racialized policing that does indeed happen in this city. But this isn't the end of the road. The fight continues. If we want civilian oversight that does the work to resolve differences between community and the police, we need empowered civilian oversight with the ability to access evidence in a direct, unfettered manner. If we want to hold police officers accountable more efficiently and independently, it is critical that CCRB have final disciplinary authority in its investigations. If we want to address the racialized policing that takes place in the city by empowering the CCRB to investigate it, then the agency needs access to sealed information that we currently cannot obtain under state law. As many of you know, we talk about final authority and access to police documentation. So I especially want to linger on that last point, our legal mandate to investigate racial profiling. New Yorkers deserve serious, comprehensive, independent investigations into racial profiling, and the CCRB is the appropriate agency to investigate these allegations. I have full confidence in our staff's ability to grow the team and address these allegations. I know we are the right agency to conduct both the individual conduct investigations and the pattern and practice investigations that will be necessary to make determinations of fact when addressing allegations of racial profiling. But in order to fully be able to achieve this new legal mandate, it is tremendously important that the state legislature exempt the CCRB from state sealing statutes. The legislature has 1 day left this session. If serious racial profiling investigations are to be successful in New York City, no matter the conclusions they draw, we need this change before the Assembly session ends this week. I am grateful for Assembly Member Catalina Cruz, Senator Jamal Bailey, and Senator Brian Benjamin's efforts to address the sealing statute issue and the challenges it creates for the CCRB. I'm also grateful for Assemblymember Cruz and Senator Bailey's efforts to provide the CCRB with final disciplinary authority. It is my hope that Albany will pursue these reforms that will significantly improve police oversight in New York City. As we all know, the fight continues. I'd now like to turn the mic over to Jonathan Darsh, our Executive Director. Mr. Darsh.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Staff had been hard at work preparing the agency to move into phase 2 of sexual misconduct investigations. For those not aware, CCRB broke sexual misconduct investigations into 2 phases. Our staff had experience investigating things like discourtesy and offensive language. So phase 1 sexual misconduct, things like verbal harassment, were a smoother transition for our investigators, and we began investigating those types of cases as soon as the rules went into effect. Phase 2 sexual misconduct covers things of a physical nature. We wanted staff to have training to become certified in administering forensic experiential trauma interviews. We deemed it important to treat these investigations and the survivors of sexual misconduct with sensitivity and respect, and this training is an important part of that. We also wanted to build capacity in our civilian assistance and administrative prosecution units to handle these cases and the survivors' needs appropriately. I'm proud to announce that on June 1st, the CCRB began investigating phase 2 types of misconduct. This type of misconduct is reprehensible. New Yorkers need the CCRB to conduct independent investigations into sexual misconduct perpetrated by uniformed members of the NYPD. Just some quick updates on agency operations. The CCRB continues to review protest cases from 2020, and we expect to have a protest report out this year. CCRB staff have made a full return to the office, with staff operating on a flexible schedule of mixed in-person and remote work. If you need to file a complaint in person, we are welcoming walk-in complainants. However, we still recommend complainants to file online or over the phone if possible. In public session, please use the raised hand feature to make a comment. If you have the participant tab open, the raise a hand button is on the bottom right of your screen. And I want to thank staff for your hard work during this past year and a half of struggle, and thanks again to the members of the public for participating in this hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Darsh. Now I think Board Member Simmons has joined us since we started. You want to introduce yourself? And I think you're on mute still.
Good afternoon, all. Glad to be here. I'm traveling, but nothing stops CCRB board members. So here I am. I am appointed by the Public Advocate's Office citywide. Glad to be here.
Thank you, and thanks for making the extra effort to attend the meeting. We're now going to have a presentation.
Fred, you're muted.
No, yeah, Now I'm muted. Yeah. So we're now going to have a presentation by our Deputy Director for Outreach and Intergovernmental Affairs, Jahai Rose. Jahai.
Good. Thank you very much, Chair Davey. I'm just going to share my screen. Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, as you all may know, the Civilian Complaint Review Board is the largest civilian oversight agency over the largest police force in the country. The CCRB investigates, mediates, and prosecutes allegations and complaints of police misconduct against members of the NYPD. You've met a few of our board members. Our agency is governed by a 15-member board. 5 seats are appointed by the mayor, 5 are appointed by the New York City Council, 3 designated by the police commissioner, 1 appointed by the public advocate, and the chair, as you've met Chair Davey, is jointly appointed by the mayor and the city council. The CCRB investigates allegations of police misconduct. However, our jurisdiction falls in the categories of FADO. The helpful acronym FADO stands for Force, Abuse of Authority, Discourtesy, and Offensive Language. That's the jurisdiction that the agency is allowed to investigate. I wanted to give you some brief information regarding the Right to Know Act. The Right to Know Act is a law that changes police interactions as of October 19th, 2018. This pertains to certain stop and frisk, sobriety checks, and certain police encounters. Under certain circumstances, police officers should identify themselves, providing their name, badge number, and other information, such as rank and command. And with some exceptions, they should explain the purpose of the interaction. They should inform an individual of their right to say no when asking for your consent to search your person, property, vehicle, or home. And in certain circumstances, offer a business card with an officer's information, which explains how to comment and or complain about the interaction with a New York City police officer. Civilians may request a business card in all encounters. This is an example of what the business card looks like, front and back. Now, there are a few ways to report police misconduct. Just to name a few, you can file a complaint using the CCRB's website, as previously mentioned by John Darsh. It's nyc.gov/CCRB complaint. You could also call the CCRB's hotline at 1-800-341-CCRB. Remember, if you see footage of misconduct on social media or in the news, you can file a complaint even if you weren't there in person. The other ways to file a complaint to the CCRB regarding misconduct include calling 311. You could visit our office at 100 Church Street on the 10th floor in Lower Manhattan. You could send a letter to the CCRB at 100 Church Street on the 10th floor, New York, zip code 10007. You could also file a complaint at a local police precinct, any police precinct in the city of New York. So here's some information regarding the investigative unit, their roles and response and their experience. Our team is comprised of some of the best and brightest undergrad and graduate students with a variety of educational institutions nationwide. And a few different ways to apply for the investigative position include the NYC Careers Portal, nyc.gov, also www.idealist.org, and www.joinhandshake.com. If you have any questions regarding applying, you can feel free to submit a cover letter and resume to careers@ccrb.nyc.gov for any future interest. The CCRB will be having its first CCRB virtual lounge on June 25th from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Feel free to join us as we discuss the CCRB. We'll be providing information, and we're excited to hear your questions and concerns regarding police oversight and in the city of New York. If you would like to register for this meeting that will be held on WebEx, feel free to email outreach@ccrb.nyc.gov. And if you'd like an outreach presentation by the CCRB's outreach team, feel free to email us also at outreach@ccrb.nyc.gov. Also, follow us on social media, on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Jahai. Do any of the board members have questions for Jahai? All right, thanks again for that presentation. We're now going to go to public comment. I will remind the public again that if you have a comment, please use the raise the hand feature on your controls. We're also going to remind the public that you have 2 minutes for your comments, and so we're going to ask you to keep that in mind because we want to make sure that everybody who has come to speak has an opportunity to do that. So I'm going to ask Ira if you would please call on the first person who's signed up to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Before we get to our first speaker, who will be joining us via phone, I want to acknowledge and thank representatives from the following offices for attending today's meeting. So representatives from the Office of Assemblyman Tanusis, also Public Advocate Jomani Williams, Councilmember Adrian Adams, Councilwoman Carlina Rivera, Senator Lanza, and Community Board 1, and special acknowledgement to the Seattle Community Police Commission for joining us as well. Greg? And with the phone number beginning with 718, feel free to share your comment, and please be mindful that we are at a 2-minute time limit. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. This is Melissa Ortiz. I'm actually representing the office of Congressmember Nydia Velasquez. Unfortunately, the link in my email is not working, but I did want to make an inquiry to the board with respect to the membership as it applies specifically to NYCHA residents, to know that, or to know if there's any participation from NYCHA residents as a subcommittee or part of the committee already, as well as the youth committee.
So I don't know whether any of our board members are NYCHA residents or not.
Mr. Puma? I believe
yes, I've been a lifelong NYCHA resident and was a former constituent of Congresswoman Velasquez until redistricting a few years ago.
Great.
Great.
Yeah, Hira,
Great.
with regard to the youth committee, do we have any NYCHA residents on the group this year?
That's a great question. Thank you so much. We did do active outreach to different community groups and community centers in NYCHA residents. We didn't ask the youth members about that specifically, but in our event that will be happening in fall in regards to youth and police relations, we will make sure to include NYCHA youth residents and wanting to know their input and advice on improving relations. Thank you for that.
Great. And I can
you
also
hear me?
Yes,
Oh, I'm
please.
sorry. Go ahead. Finish. No, you finish.
I was just going to say we tend to hold most of our community meetings in NYCHA community centers so that we can actually hear in person when we were doing that and when we get back to it, hopefully this fall, from NYCHA residents about the particular ways in which they engage around police community relations.
Well, that's great, and thank you for giving me the mic just for these last few moments to say that we definitely want to make sure to invite the CCRB to come on to Southwest Brooklyn at either Wyckoff, Gowanus, Red Hook, or Warren Houses so that we can engage our constituents in being more actively involved. There have been quite a bit of shootings and incidents just prior to COVID and at the end of last year, and they were very, residents are left very distraught and feeling, like everybody does. So thank you so much for the time.
You're very welcome. Thank you. And before we go to the next speaker, we have another board member who's joined us, Ms. Dolly Butts. Marbury?
Hi, I'm so sorry for being late. My name is Marbury. I use she and her pronouns, and I'm a city council appointee from Brooklyn.
Thank you. And now you're hired to our next speaker.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to echo that we will absolutely be out in those communities. Right now, as we're slowly returning to in-person presentations, we've been working closely with the Cure Violence programs as well as different communities in Brownsville, but we'll be absolutely make sure to follow up and make sure that we're in those communities as well. So thank you so much for that. Next, we'll be hearing from John Sonda.
Mr. Sonda.
Yes, hi. I have a couple questions and possibly some follow-up questions. Executive Director Dar, has the CCRB completed the process of changing the disposition letters to inform complainants and victims of the reopening process in the disposition letter?
John?
I'm sorry, no, we've not completed the process yet.
So just to confirm, complainants have not been informed to send their reopening request to the Director of Case Management Unit in the disposition letters, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so does the CCRB intend to contact and inform prior complainants who were not provided the proper information to make a reopening request? And if yes, how far back are you considering?
We hadn't considered that yet.
Okay. Can you kindly describe the process of how the Goldman School of the University of California, Berkeley was chosen by the CCRB to examine all external communications with civilians?
So I believe they had reached out to us to offer to help. They're a prominent institution of higher learning that engages with many public groups around the country. And we worked with them to try and find a way that they could bring their expertise to bear in a way that would help the agency. And it's something that we acknowledge that we need to do better at, is communicating with the people who we're here to serve. And so that's why when they offered to help, we jumped at the chance to work with them.
And basically, since at the November board meeting, you mentioned that the information concerning the reopen process should be included in the disposition letters and that you're rectifying the situation. But so you can see that there was an error of omission, but you have not corrected that error as of yet.
So, Mr. Sonda, I think Mr. Darsh answered that question, and unfortunately, your time has expired. If you want to communicate privately with Mr. Darsh through email, you can do that, and you can CC me on it so that we make sure the board stays abreast of your questions. Thank you. You hire next speaker, please.
Thank you. Next, we'll be hearing from Latoya LeGrand from Senator Comrie's office.
So the speaker can go ahead?
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Hi,
please.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, great. I just wanted to say, the other caller, she asked about NYCHA and the relationship between NYCHA and CCRB. I just want to let you guys know that I do know of someone who is a part of your YAC program. They do reside in NYCHA, and Jahairos has been doing a lot of work, especially in Queens, to let the programs know that they're out here. And this is South Jamaica, Queens. He's been partnering with everyone, and I've been trying to assist him with getting that out there. So there are, just for the record, there are youth that is a part of the CCRB and the YAC program. I just wanted to let that be known.
That's excellent. Thank you.
So I just want to say that Jahai has really been doing excellent work, and the whole outreach team, when confronted with the pandemic, and there are so few people here whose job it is to make sure that people know the agency is here, and then having most of their tools that they relied upon taken away and having to adapt and overcome, the whole outreach team deserves our thanks for the work they did over the past 15 months.
Great. Well, on behalf of the board, I thank you. And it's good to see the continued presence of CCRB in communities in spite of the pandemic and the obstacles that we've all faced. All right. Do we have another speaker, Yahara?
Yes, and again, thank you so much, Latoya, for that, and John. Next, we'll be hearing from Javier Cita.
Hey, are you getting the burger?
Sorry, I think our speaker needs to mute. All right, go ahead, Yahara.
Next, we'll be hearing from Javier Cita.
Hello, hi, can everyone hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Hi, this is Javier Seda. I'm the outreach coordinator with Mexican Mediation Conflict Resolution in the Bronx.
Mr. Seda, you're breaking up.
I'm so sorry. I wonder if it's my bandwidth. I was having some issues with connecting. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I was just saying that it's encouraging to hear exactly what's being done here. This is my first experience with the Consent Review Board, and I wanted to know how the mediation sector can help in approaching conflicts and disputes between individuals and the police, how we can help with those conversations.
Can you ask that question again, please?
I'm so sorry. I wanted to know how the Mediation Center here in Bronx can help with mediating conversations and facilitation between the community and the police when disputes arise.
Do you hire John? Do you want to answer? John, you're muted.
I couldn't hear his question even with the
He wants to know how his community organization can help with improving the conversations between the police and the community where he's located in the Bronx.
The difficult conversations are our specialty, so I just figured it would be a perfect place to start.
So what is your organization, sir?
The Institute for Mediation and Conflict Resolution. So we do core mediation, family dispute, custody litigation mediation, you name it.
So, Mr. Sayed, I'm going to ask that you give Jahai your information, and we have a mediation unit, which I'm going to try and put you in touch with, which will help. I think your organization could help us. We're always looking for new mediators for our mediation program. But I think the question about how you can help improve the relationship between people on the street is also an interesting one, and it's something that I'll get back to the department and let them know you're interested in that, and seeing if there is a spot for you in that kind of work that they're doing.
Perfect.
All right. Thank you. Our next speaker, Yahara.
Thank you, Chair. That concludes our public portion of the meeting.
Excellent. I think we're at the point of seeing if there's any old business to come before us. Is there any new business to come before us? All right, so we're going to, once a motion is made and approved, we're going to adjourn to executive session. I'm going to ask the board members not to sign off just yet, but to stay on, and then we'll have some instructions once we're in executive session. So is there a motion to adjourn to executive session of the board?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor of adjournment to executive session, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. All right, the ayes have it. The motion is approved. We'll adjourn to executive session. Board members stay put, and we're going to ask the public and others if they will exit. Thank you.